Hey everybody, Zach here with Infernal Tool Technologies, and if you're new to the channel, we're a company that is innovating in the construction industry. We're putting out new tools, and we are going to be working in the space of AR, VR, and robotics to really innovate the entire construction industry. So today I want to talk to you guys about the labor statistics in the construction industry and wages as well, and comparing the wages with other parts of the economy. And so I did some research last night on the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and some of the stuff that I was finding just is looking a little bit bleak, and a lot of it wasn't really adding up. So we're just going to get right into it. So the median pay for laborers in the construction industry in 2020 across the entire United States is what they say is $17.83 per hour. And they're projecting that an increase of 81,000 employees will be happening over a 10-year span. In 10 years, we're only going to be having an 81,000 person increase in this industry, but they're saying that the industry is going to be booming and that it's going to have a 5% increase year over year. That just doesn't really add up, and it doesn't look very good. Only 81,000 more people, and that's already not holding true. I know we had the pandemic and everything, but this just isn't making sense. So with the union workers from 2017 to 2020, we have had 500,000 employee decline, and a lot of that is coming from the retirees. They're retiring, and we are not supplementing those people with a new workforce. So we do have people that are getting hired on and entering the union, but we're having way more people leave the unions to where we are having a decrease year over year. When they're saying that we are going to need 81,000 more people, we are already 500,000 people behind. And the coronavirus is at the tail end right now, and so last year the statistics would make sense if we were showing big decreases and then coming back and increasing again, but it just isn't showing that, because even on the years that it does have people leaving and people coming in, it usually just flatlines. It's not really a bunch of people coming into the industry. So that's going to be a big issue. And like one of the gains in the third quarter of 2020 was just 50,000 employees, but in the second quarter of 2020 it was 500,000 lost. So it's just not adding up. It's gonna take a lot more quarters and years to even make up that amount of loss. But who knows? We might be losing more people. I'm from the industry myself, and I know that it's impossible right now to find people, especially when you're looking for people at the just wanting to enter the workforce, because there's not really any incentives to bring in people into the workforce. I mean, they're saying the median pay all across America is $17.83 per hour for a laborer, and I just don't think that's completely accurate. I really don't. I think a few states are just making that number increase when a far more majority of them are not. And like, I live in New York State, and in New York State there is a bigger increase in pay, but that might be true for like the $18 an hour or $17 an hour for a laborer, but you can go around the corner and work at fast food for just about the same amount, $17 an hour now. And being a laborer is not fun. There's a lot of hard work. You come home at the end of the day and you're just beat. So I feel like that's what part of the shortage is coming from as well, is that people can find alternatives and make just as much money, if not more, than having to do the hard labor. And because most people also nowadays just want instant gratification. They just want to get into the workforce and all of a sudden become a carpenter, become a plumber, become an electrician. But that's just not the way it works. You have to start from the ground floor, and you have to learn, and it takes years to do that. And we're living in an age where people just don't want to do that. They want to YouTube all the different tutorials of how you can fix stuff, and then all of a sudden you're a carpenter. And that's just not working out because I know all the people that I work with, it really frustrates them. And they kick these younger people off of job sites, and they tell their employers that they don't want to work with these people because they're messing up jobs thinking that they know how to do stuff when they actually don't. Um, so another statistic that I was looking at on the Bureau of Labor Statistics is that they're saying that the weekly hours for union and non-union workers is actually going down. So it went from 40 hours a week to more like 38, 37 hours a week. But at the same time that we're seeing a pay increase of a couple dollars. And I don't know if that's true or not. It says it on there, and maybe the statistics are true, but it's just that doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we're working less and making more, especially in a time where we need to be working more. We need to get back to the levels we were at before this pandemic. So you would think that people would be, employers and businesses and consumers would really be wanting to drive this economy back to where it was at. And paying people more to work less just is not going to work, especially when you pay people to not work at all. I know that the unemployment and the benefits that they've been giving out has been a huge issue with this industry in particular. I mean, if you're already forced into doing a labor position and you maybe aren't the happiest person, but you're okay with the pay, but then all of a sudden the government says we're going to give you unemployment and benefits on top of that, that really is going to disincentivize people to go back to work and start hauling buckets and working super hard and sweating when you can just use your time elsewhere. You can have a good time, or you can start a little side business without telling anybody and still collect that unemployment, which I think a lot of people are doing because a lot of bakeries are popping up out of people's houses. Alright, so the other statistics that I was looking at was when it came down to actual businesses in the United States. And across the board on all the industries, with private, local, state, and federal, they are all having an increase in actual establishments. We're seeing that businesses are going up and people are starting businesses, but then at the same time, 59,000 of those establishments across the United States have made adjustments in their workforce in the negative. They have laid people off, and so we're increasing the businesses, but we're having an increased drop in the workers in employment. So unemployment is getting higher even though people are building businesses. And that's not very good. That is not good at all, because I feel like people are going out on their own and they're not. I think it all stems from the wage. It all stems from carpenters or construction workers not getting paid enough money, so they're starting their own business, and that means they're losing employees at some of these establishments, and new establishments are arising. And some of the times, these people are probably not doing it legally on the books and having an entity that they're doing the work through, and so that's affecting the statistics. But it's also saturating the market. People are having to compete with each other, and it's driving the consumers' prices down because people are willing to work for less when they're just starting out their business, because they believe that will pay out in the end if they just give people work cheaper, but it just doesn't usually work that way. And then that leads to people dissolving their business, and then we're back at square one where people are actually unemployed. And whereas if they just stayed at their company and were treated better and had better pay, maybe none of that would happen in the first place. And I know, like in New York State, I said that the pay of fast food workers is getting up to like $17 an hour now. And here, a carpenter who has all their tools, from chop saws to table saws to all the drills, power tools that you can imagine, hand tools that you can imagine, levels, different squares, all of it. And providing their own vehicle is really only in a window from $20 to $30 an hour. And I'm surprised some of these workers are taking the low end of the pay, especially when you're putting out so much. But I see it all the time. I really do. I work with a bunch of people that do exactly that, and it's really sad. I try drilling it in their minds that it's just not making sense. Like, you're spending all this money on tools, all the years of your knowledge, and you're paying for your vehicle, which most vehicles have to be big and heavier duty to where you're paying more gas and having steeper insurance. And whereas these people, for just a few dollars less in some circumstances, just have to go and flip some burgers. So it's just really not making sense at all. And I don't know what is suppressing the construction wages. If it's employers, if it's the consumer, maybe it's the consumer. If the consumer doesn't want to pay more for their kitchen remodel or their roof being done, then it's going to trickle down to the workers, because the employers are in the business of making money, so they're not just going to sacrifice their money to pay their workers more. In some circumstances, people do, especially if they're having a hard time finding workers. But why would they be in business then? They need to make money. They're working super hard on the office end of things, and dealing with people is not easy. But it could be the consumer that's actually driving the wages down in the construction industry, because they're just not willing to pay for the work. They just want the cheapest bid. They're doing do-it-yourself work now, and we're competing with even the homeowner, so that's a problem too. And I'm just blown away, honestly. Please tell me, in your state, if you're in a different state or even in a different country, what's going on with the wages in the construction industry for you? Is it making sense? Are people getting paid enough? How much do you have to offer? Like, do you have to have a bunch of tools? Do you have to provide a van or a work truck? And compare that to some other jobs around your neighborhood, and let me know. Let me know if this is the same thing that's happening to you, because I know New York State could be potentially an outlier, because they got New York City, so that just affects the entire state. Whereas if you're living in one of these smaller places, like Ohio or Pennsylvania or something like that, maybe this isn't true for some of these states. And I just love to hear from you. So leave a comment down below and let me know. Through my research last night, I actually found something pretty cool in the census for the United States. And I was trying to figure out how much more people we were going to have added to the workforce over the next 10 years. And from the research that I've been doing, it's looking like they're projecting it to be 6 million people from that range of 18 to, I think, 64. So that's prime working age. 6 million more people. So at the beginning of this video, like I said, 81,000 people. That shouldn't be really that tough to find out of 6 million. So I think we're going to need a lot more than 81,000 people in the industry over the next 10 years, but that's what they're projected. That's only going to be happening. So out of 6 million people coming to the United States, only 81,000 of them are actually going to convert over to construction. That doesn't sound very good. But the interesting thing that I found was that we currently in the United States have 100,000 roughly people that are living over the age of 100. And this census went all the way to 2060. And by 2060, they are projecting that we're going to have 600,000 people living over the age of 100. And granted, there's a huge increase in people that would be born here and coming here that they're projecting. Like I said, 6 million over 10 years. So if we're going to project that over 30 more years, then that could be 24 million to 30 million people. And only 600,000 of them are going to be living over 100. But it just really got my mind thinking about how all of our advancements and technology and how we could potentially be living longer, and maybe they're projecting for that people are going to be living longer. But at the same time, if they were projecting that, I think the number would be a lot higher by 2060. I mean, that's a far ways away, and technology is growing rapidly. I mean, just every year I'm looking at something and it's insane. And the stuff that I'm trying to do here over the next few years will be adding to that, especially in the construction industry. And it's going to be a whole different experience for the consumer and the employers and the employees. It's going to be full circle in the construction industry. There's going to be big changes, and I want to be at the front of that, and I want to take you along for the ride. If you guys get a chance, go over to my Instagram, and you can see my normal daily life, how I'm still working in the field and starting this corporation at the same time, and it's just going to be a journey. If you're interested in checking that out and following my journey, then go over to Instagram and leave me a comment or send me a message about your journey as well. Maybe you're doing something similar to me, or you're just in the construction industry, or you just like you want to see the stuff that we're doing here in Infernal. But yeah, I just was looking at all these statistics, and it just really got me thinking about wages. And obviously I've been thinking about wages my whole life because we all want to make more money. And it is a little bit depressing looking around and seeing these fast food wages increase and counter workers and service retail store wages increase so much. And I haven't seen wages in my industry increase at all, really. I mean, not much at all. We've had people just come to our company recently who are making the same they've made for 30 years, and I'm just blown away by that. Absolutely blown away that's just not okay. I mean, just taking inflation in account, that's not okay. But it's also there should be a gap between skill and non-skill. There just should be. And there's a lot of skilled people out there in the trades, and I don't think they're getting compensated for it. And they're really the only place that they feel that they can go is going to a union. And that doesn't work for people every time. Unions aren't for everybody. You have to be a part of it. You have to pay into it. You have to sacrifice a lot for it, and you get paid more for that. But a lot of people, they just aren't built for that kind of life. And in the residential industry and construction, it's a whole different world where people are working from small one-man, two-man operations all the way up to big firms that are not unionized. And the wages in the non-union just need to change, especially because so many employers are asking so much of the employees. Like I said, with tools, they need to have all these tools and have a work truck and have all these expenses that you could go work at a retail store and have none. You could ride your bike to work. So it's just not making sense, and I think that's affecting the employment. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on wages or where you think they're going, or even unemployment and employers, tell me about it. Leave a comment below. Please share this video and like it. I'd really love to hear from you guys about how it is where you live, because here in New York State, it's just getting crazy. And maybe in other states, it's not. Maybe it's making more sense out there, and I would just love to hear that. But yeah, like I said, comment, like the video, share it if you get a chance. Please subscribe, and follow me on Instagram and see what I'm doing on a daily basis.